Hello, I'm Lake County Board Member Dick Barr, representing the 3rd District of Lake County, which includes Lindenhurst, Lake Villa, Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Heights, and small portions of Ingleside and Antioch. Today, I want to talk about a property tax levy, what it means to you, and how it affects your property tax bill. So stick around, and more to come. Welcome back. Again, I'm Lake County Board Member Dick Barr. Today is Thursday, September 5th, and today is the big Bears-Packers game. So I'm representing NFL great and NFC champion Alex Brown of the Chicago Bears. And let's get started. Today we're going to talk about the property tax levy and what that means. We all know what our property taxes are, but very few understand exactly what makes up our property tax bill. Now, if you've looked at your property tax bill, you'll see a list of different taxing bodies on there. You'll see your school, your elementary schools, your high schools. You'll see the libraries, fire departments, the county, the forest preserve, drainage districts, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But each of those dollar amounts represents a portion of their total levy. The levy is the amount of money that any taxing district collects from its taxpayers. So if I am a school and I need $1 million, my tax levy is the $1 million. And that $1 million is then distributed amongst, collected amongst all of the property owners in the county or within the district that pay the property tax to us. So today, obviously, we're going to talk about the Lake County levy to give you a good idea of how much money we're collecting and what that means to your tax bill. So let's get into the breakdown of our revenue here in Lake County. Now, again, I want you to understand this represents just the Lake County government tax levy. And that tax levy pays for, obviously, county government administration. It pays for the coroner's office, the state's attorney's office, the sheriff's office, the transportation department, the health department, planning and development. Everything within the purview of Lake County is covered under this levy. Our total budget in Lake County is just over $500 million. At least it was in 2019. And here are our sources of revenue. So of the $500 million, $165 million comes from the property taxes. And then here are the other categories, which we'll get into in another video, but I want to make this one quick. Sales taxes represents about $90 million, licenses and permits about $6 million, fines and forfeitures $1.5 million, intergovernmental agreements $81 million, charges for services $73.5 million, transfers $48 million, and a miscellaneous category of just under $60 million. But the portion that you are responsible directly through the property tax bill is just this blue section of pie, which is $165 million. Let's go to the next slide and show you what the levy has looked like over the past 20 years. So in 2000, Lake County levied just over $80 total million from its property taxpayers. And as you can see, that number's gone up every year for the past 20 years, and we're now at just over $160 million. Now, while that number has doubled, that does not mean that your property tax that you pay to Lake County has doubled, because the increases is a combination of increases to existing tax base plus any new development that created a new property tax stream. For example, if we take a snapshot today, that's our existing tax base, and then tomorrow somebody builds a new factory in Gurnee, it doesn't matter where, but let's say it's in Gurnee, their property tax is new development. So it's existing tax base plus new development. Now, the state of Illinois has a law called PTEL. It's Property Tax Extension Limitation Law. And what that says, that limits the amount that any taxing body can increase their entire levy by in any given year. And that limitation is 5% or CPI. Now, CPI stands for Consumer Price Index, and it basically means inflation. So if we have a $100,000 levy today, and we want to increase that tax, we're limited to either an increase of 5% in that amount or whatever percent CPI is. Now, over the past several years, that number's been hovering around 2%. And I believe this year it's going to be about 1.8 or 1.9%. So in this example, let's say it was 2%. We have a $100,000 levy. The most we can increase the levy to the existing tax base is 2%. So our levy next year would be $102,000, and that's how much we would collect. This protects the taxpayers from, in whole, from large increases or decreases. Now, keep in mind there are other factors that will increase or decrease your property tax bill that relates to the value of your home in relation to other homes in the district. So the PTEL law protects you from the taxing body as a whole increasing its levy more than that percentage. But there are no controls that protect your property tax portion by way of variances in value. I hope that makes sense. If you want me to be more clear on that, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to explain that portion better. But just trying to make this video quick and give you a good understanding of what the levy is and what we've seen over the past 20 years. So let's go to the next slide, which is, this slide shows the total increase in levy over the past 20 years. The red portions of the bar represent the amount of money that we got in new development, and the blue portions represent increases to the existing tax base that year. So as you can see, let's say 2000, for example. Here we go, get a little pointer. So in 2000, we had a very small amount increase to the property taxpayers, but we got a lot of money from new development. And over time, the amount of increase to the property taxpayers has bounced around up and down. A couple of times it got really low. And in 2015 and 2019, the county boards at that time froze the tax levy. So existing tax base got no increase in property taxes. But they have been collecting, even when they freeze the levy, they still collect new money from new taxpayers, new development sources. But what you can see is you can see a pattern here, even though it bounces around, some years big, some years small. The amount of money that we are collecting in new development is getting smaller and smaller as time goes on. Here in 2015, there was no new development. And as you can see now, even in this 2020 projection year, I'm only projecting about $600,000 to $700,000 in new tax revenue from new development. So let me show you what that looks like when we break out just new development. So as you can see, back 20 years ago, we had over $6 million in new tax revenue from new development. But over time, that number has been dwindling down to almost nothing. Like I said, this year it's projected to grow at only about $600,000 or $700,000. So what this means to us is that source of revenue from new development is dwindling, and we're going to have to address how we continue to provide services, how we continue to maintain buildings, maintain roads and infrastructure with a dwindling property tax source, while at the same time not increasing property taxes to the homeowners. So this will be a big challenge, and will be a lot of what we're going to be talking about over the next couple of months. Next Tuesday, we will be voting at the full board meeting in Waukegan on the current levy and how much we will anticipate collecting from taxpayers. And the options, of course, are to increase the levy, we can decrease the levy, or we can get a smaller increase to the levy. Instead of asking for a CPI increase, we can freeze the levy on CPI and just ask for new development. So I'm sure you have more questions, but it's getting close to bear time, and I am going to end this video now. And please, if you have any questions that you would like answered, please reach out to me. Of course, you could always go to my website at www.dickbarr.com. In fact, while you do that, let's show you where you can find the budget. So if you do go to my website, www.dickbarrlakecounty.com, again, that's www.dickbarrlakecounty.com, and you go to the property tax menu tab, you can go down to the 2019 budget, and that takes you to this page. And if you click on this link, it's going to open the approved 2019 budget. And this has lots of information in it. Here you could read all about our budget. It's not an easy read. It's a very in-depth read, but the first several dozen pages have some summaries and graphics and infographics for you to give you an idea. But the budget actually gets down to the nitty-gritty, where you can look at every line item for revenue and expenditure in all of the county departments. Here is a similar pie graph to the one I showed you earlier of where our revenue sources came from. And undoubtedly you'll have questions after going through this, but feel free to look through it. And if you have questions, please ask me. I'm pretty familiar with the budget, and I'll be able to help everywhere I can. And when I can't, you could always reach out to our finance director, who is a whiz at this and will get answers for you very quickly. So that's it. Again, I want to thank you for watching, and please feel free to reach me on my website. You can follow me on Twitter at DickBarrLCBoard, Facebook, where I'm the most active, at DickBarrLakeCounty. And of course, you can email me at dbar@lakecountyil.gov. And you could also join my newsletter by texting Lake Bar, followed by your email address, to 468-311. Again, you text Lake Bar, followed by your email address, to 468-311. I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something, and go Bears!